started with a small, almost unnoticeable change, something that could have been ignored if Alex had not been paying attention. He woke one morning feeling lighter than usual, as if a weight he had carried for years had suddenly lifted. The sun shone brighter, the air smelled fresher, and even the simplest things, the sound of birds, the rustle of leaves, felt alive in a way he could not explain. As he walked to work, he noticed small coincidences. A stranger smiled at him at the exact moment he felt a surge of joy. A book he had thought lost appeared on a shelf at a coffee shop, and a song that held a hidden message for him played unexpectedly on the radio. At first, Alex thought it was luck, just a series of chance events. But then the coincidences grew stranger, more impossible. One evening, he found himself thinking about an old friend he had not spoken to in years, imagining a conversation they might have. And the next day, a message appeared on his phone, his friend reaching out exactly as he had pictured. A chill ran down Alex's spine. How could this be? He began to notice that his thoughts seemed to ripple outward, like stones thrown into a still pond, touching places he could not see, reaching people and situations he had no control over. It was as if reality itself was listening, responding in subtle ways to what he felt inside, curiosity mixed with fear, because it felt too powerful, too real, to ignore. Alex remembered reading about quantum physics, the idea that observation could affect outcomes, that particles could be connected across space in ways that defied common sense. But this was not just particles in a lab. This was his life, his world, his reality, responding to him, to the way he felt and imagined. The more he noticed, the more patterns appeared, and the more he realized that there was a hidden language in life, a code written in vibration, frequency, and intention. He began testing it, a small wish in his mind, a clear focus on a positive outcome, and then he waited. At first, nothing happened, but then the signs appeared small, almost playful, like the universe was hinting, guiding, inviting him to believe. Alex could not tell if this was coincidence, or if he was truly learning to tune into something larger, something unseen, something that connected everything. Each day became a mystery, each moment a chance to notice, to feel, to imagine. He wondered if everyone lived like this, and he just hadn't noticed, or if only some people could feel these threads weaving through life, connecting thoughts, emotions, and events. One night, lying awake, he asked himself the question that would not leave him, the question that had begun to haunt his dreams. What if I am not separate from reality? What if I am part of it, and it is part of me? What if I can create, not just observe? A strange calm filled him as he considered this, a sense of possibility he had never felt before, as if the rules of life were not fixed, but flexible, waiting for someone to understand them. The air around him seemed to vibrate with potential, silent but alive, and Alex felt the first real spark of something extraordinary. And in that spark, a question lingered, powerful and irresistible, one that would drive him to explore deeper than he had ever imagined. Can I truly become the vibration I desire and shape the world from within? The answer was not clear, but the journey had begun, and Alex could feel it calling him forward, into a reality that seemed both familiar and completely unknown. And with that, he took the first conscious step into the mystery, a step that would change everything. After the night that changed everything, Alex could not stop thinking about the strange coincidences, the tiny ripples that seemed to spread from his mind into the world. He walked through the city, noticing the hum of life around him, the chatter of people, the rush of cars, the subtle vibrations in the air. It was as if everything had a pulse, a frequency, and he was beginning to feel it, to sense it, to tune in. He remembered something a friend once said about energy. Everything is vibration, Alex, even you, even me, even the world itself. At first, the words seemed like a metaphor, something poetic, but now, after the experiences he had, they felt literal, like a hidden truth waiting to be discovered. Alex began to experiment. He focused on a simple ... a warm, happy feeling of gratitude for something he wanted in his life. He imagined it clearly, as if it had already happened, and he felt the excitement rise inside him, like a vibration humming in his chest. Days passed, and small signs appeared, messages, chance encounters, tiny coincidences, but the key was not the events themselves, it was the feeling, the vibration he held inside. He realized that every thought, every emotion, every intention carried energy, and that energy seemed to resonate with the world around him. If he held fear, worry, or doubt, the world mirrored it back in subtle ways. If he held joy, love, and focus, the world responded differently, as if it recognized the signal and answered in kind. It was like tuning a radio to a station. If the frequency was clear, the music played beautifully. If it was messy, the signal broke, full of static. Alex tried something new. He imagined a perfect moment of connection with someone he cared about. Not controlling it, not demanding it, just feeling it. And then it happened. Call from that person. A word. A gesture that mirrored exactly what he'd imagined. He felt awe, wonder, and a deep sense of possibility. It was not magic. It was not coincidence. It was vibration, the invisible language of reality itself, speaking through events, through chance, through synchronicity. Alex began to understand that life was not random, that it had patterns, rhythms, and frequencies, and that he was not just a passenger in life but a participant, a conductor of his own energy. Every moment became an opportunity to practice, to notice, to feel, and to align. He realized that the mind was not separate from the world, but a powerful tool that could send out ripples, subtle at first, then stronger, shaping the reality that surrounded him. And as he walked through the city that evening, feeling the energy of life in every corner, he thought, if I can understand this, even a little, I can begin to shape my experience, to become the vibration I desire, to create from within, not just react to the world. Alex felt a thrill, a quiet excitement, knowing that he had glimpsed a secret, a principle hidden in plain sight, waiting for anyone who would pay attention to it. The city lights shimmered as he walked, each one seeming to vibrate in harmony with the energy he was learning to hold. And in that moment, he knew that the journey was only beginning. That understanding vibration was the first step in mastering the mysterious, invisible forces that shape every life, and the question lingered, more powerful than ever. How far can this go? What else can I create if I continue to align with the frequency I desire? The answers were waiting, just beyond the edge of perception, and Alex was ready to reach for them. Alex could feel the energy of life more clearly now, but a question nagged at him: was this real, or just his imagination? He wanted to understand, not just feel, so he began to explore the science behind the strange coincidences he had experienced, the invisible vibrations that seemed to shape reality. He remembered reading about quantum physics, a world so strange, it defied common sense, where particles could exist in many places at once, and observing them could change their behavior. It was called the observer effect, and suddenly, it made sense that maybe reality was responding to attention, to focus, to the consciousness behind it. He also learned about quantum entanglement, a phenomenon where two particles, even when far apart, were connected in ways that could not be explained by distance, as if a hidden thread tied them together. Alex thought about his life. Could it be that people, thoughts, and events were connected in a similar way? Invisible threads linking moments and choices, vibrations creating patterns he could notice if he paid attention. He read about energy fields and vibrations, ideas that scientists explored to measure the subtle energies around living beings. Even though much remained a mystery, it fascinated him. Science, philosophy, and consciousness were pointing to a similar truth, that reality was not fixed, that observation, attention, and intention mattered. Alex tried to imagine it simply. Every thought, feeling, or intention is like sending a tiny signal into the universe, a ripple in a vast ocean of energy, and the universe, in some mysterious way, responds. He thought about the coincidences he had experienced, the book appearing, the call from a friend, the perfect moments aligning with his thoughts. Maybe these were not luck. Maybe they were echoes of his inner frequency, reaching out, touching other parts of the world that were ready to respond. Alex realized that science was not yet able to fully explain this, but it did give him confidence that he was not imagining things, that reality could indeed be influenced by consciousness. He felt a mixture of awe and humility, because the universe was vast, mysterious, and infinitely more complex than he could understand, yet somehow he was part of it. He began to see that vibration was the bridge between his inner world and the outer world, between thought and reality, between mind and matter. The idea was simple, but powerful. If he could align his thoughts and feelings, maintain a clear and focused vibration, he could influence how life responded to him. It was not magic or instant results, but a deep, natural principle of how consciousness and reality interacted. Alex felt excitement ripple through him, a quiet thrill at the possibility that he could learn to work with this energy, to tune in to the subtle frequencies of life. And as he walked through the quiet streets that night, he thought, science shows the connections, consciousness shows the awareness, and my own vibration is the key. If I can understand this, even a little, I can begin to consciously create, not just react, not just wait for life to happen. The universe felt alive to him in a new way, full of invisible currents, waiting to be felt, understood, and worked with. And in that moment, he knew that understanding the science behind vibration was not the end, it was the invitation. The first real step toward mastering the art of creation from within. The next challenge awaited. How to take these insights, these invisible threads of science and consciousness, and turn them into a practical way to shape life itself. Alex had learned about vibration, frequency, and the invisible threads connecting thought and reality. But now a new challenge arose. How to use it, how to turn knowledge into real, tangible change. He decided to experiment, starting small, with intentions he could easily imagine, feelings he could clearly hold, and outcomes that mattered to him. The first exercise was simple. Each morning, he would focus on gratitude, picturing a small moment he wanted to experience that day, and feeling it in his chest as if it had already happened. He imagined the warmth of a friendly conversation, the joy of learning something new, the peace of a quiet, happy moment. At first, nothing seemed to happen, and Alex felt a flicker of doubt. But then subtle signs appeared. A barista remembered his favorite drink, a colleague smiled at him unexpectedly, a song played on the radio that perfectly matched his mood. Alex realized that the results were not always dramatic, but they were real, subtle confirmations that his energy was being noticed, that it was reaching the world, an inviting response. Encouraged, he moved on to more focused intentions, visualizing a problem being solved, imagining a creative idea taking shape, feeling the excitement and satisfaction as though it had already happened. He practiced daily, holding his vibration steady, noticing how thoughts that were clear, joyful, and intentional seemed to ripple outward, touching situations, people, and opportunities in ways he could not control, but could observe. Alex also learned to be mindful of negative feelings, fear, doubt, worry, because they too had energy, and they influenced reality in ways he did not want. He discovered that alignment was not about forcing outcomes, but about holding a clear, high-frequency vibration that naturally attracted experiences in harmony with it. It was like tuning a musical instrument. The clearer the note, the purer the resonance, the stronger the response. He started keeping a small journal, recording coincidences, synchronicities, and experiences that matched his intentions. Over time, the patterns became undeniable, and Alex could see how thoughts, emotions, and vibration shaped the world around him. He also experimented with imagination, closing his eyes, picturing a desired outcome in as much detail as possible, and feeling it fully. He noticed that the more vivid and heartfelt the vision, the more often life mirrored it back. One afternoon, he imagined a long-lost friend reaching out, not with expectation, but with warm curiosity and joy. Later that day, a message arrived, exactly as he had pictured. Alex smiled, understanding that practical application was not magic, it was focus, clarity, feeling, and patience. He began to share small exercises with friends, teaching them to notice their own vibrations, to feel gratitude, to imagine positive outcomes. He saw subtle changes in their lives too, confirming what he had discovered. Vibration was the bridge between thought and reality, between mind and matter, and as he walked through the city at dusk, feeling the energy of life in every street and corner, Alex thought, this is just the beginning. If I continue to practice, to hold my vibration steady, to align intention with feeling, I can create not just small ripples, but a life shaped by my inner frequency. The quiet excitement of possibility filled him, a deep sense of power tempered with patience. He realized that creation from within was not instant, not always dramatic, but real and profoundly beautiful. And with that, Alex prepared to face the next challenge, the doubts, obstacles, and misconceptions that could shake even the most focused mind. As Alex practiced holding his vibration and aligning his intentions, he began to notice something he hadn't expected. Resistance, not from the world, but from himself. Sometimes doubt crept in, quiet but persistent, whispering that nothing he was doing really mattered, that coincidences were just chance, that he was imagining it all. Other times, fear appeared, in subtle ways, fear of disappointment, fear of trying too hard, fear of being different, fear of failing to create the life he imagined. Alex realized that these feelings were natural, part of the process, and that learning to navigate them was just as important as practicing vibration. He also discovered misconceptions he had held about creating reality, ideas that had slowed him down. He had believed that manifestation was instant, that imagining a perfect outcome would immediately produce it, but reality had shown him otherwise. He learned that vibration required patience, consistency, and focus, not control, not force, not desperation. Alex also noticed that comparing himself to others created frustration, because everyone's path, energy, and timing were different. He began to understand that life was not a simple formula, and that alignment with vibration was subtle, often invisible at first, revealed only through patterns over time. Sometimes he imagined an outcome and waited, feeling certain it would happen, and nothing seemed to change. He felt the sting of doubt, but he reminded himself that the absence of immediate results did not mean failure, only that the ripple was still moving through the vast network of reality. Alex learned another lesson. Emotions mattered as much as thoughts, perhaps more, because they carried vibration in a way that pure logic could not. He began noticing when his mind wanted one thing but his heart felt another, and realized that misalignment often blocked the flow he was trying to create. He also faced external challenges, people who doubted him, situations that resisted change, circumstances that seemed to contradict his intentions. At first, he felt frustrated and confused, wondering if he had misunderstood everything. But gradually, he learned to observe without judgment, to notice what felt right and what did not, to adjust his focus, and to persist with patience. Alex realized that struggle was not a failure, it was feedback, a guide to refine his vibration, to strengthen his alignment, and to deepen his understanding. He thought about the small successes he had experienced, the coincidences, the subtle shifts, the moments of joy that mirrored his intentions, and he saw that they had grown stronger over time. He began to embrace the journey, knowing that challenges and misconceptions were part of mastering the invisible language of creation, and he reflected on a powerful truth. It was not about perfection, or instant results, or controlling the world. It was about learning to become aware of vibration, to feel it, to hold it steady, and to allow life to respond naturally. Alex understood that even doubts, fears, and setbacks were part of the process, opportunities to learn, adjust, and grow. He felt a quiet confidence building inside him, a sense that he could continue on this path, no matter the obstacles. And as he walked through the city at night, noticing the lights, the sounds, the subtle vibrations around him, he thought, challenges are not roadblocks, they are teachers. Misconceptions are not failures, they are guides. And every step, every moment, every ripple is part of the journey to become the vibration I desire. With that understanding, Alex felt ready to take the final steps, to see how his practice, his focus, and his vibration could fully shape his life. Alex had walked a long path, from the first strange coincidences that puzzled him, to the quiet experiments with his thoughts and feelings, to the challenges that tested his patience and belief. Now he felt a calm clarity, a sense that everything he had learned was coming together, forming a map he could follow. He remembered the early days, when a single thought seemed to ripple outward in mysterious ways. And now, those ripples had grown, patterns emerging, subtle at first, then stronger, showing him that reality was not random, but responsive, alive, and connected to his own vibration. He reflected on the lessons he had learned: patience, focus, consistency, and alignment between heart and mind were essential. It was not about forcing outcomes or controlling life, but about feeling the energy, holding the vibration steady, and allowing the world to respond. Alex decided to test everything one final time, a conscious practice of creation from within. He imagined a moment of true joy, not for himself alone, but as a gift to the world. Feeling the warmth and light of that experience as if it were already real, he walked through the city, noticing how life seemed to respond in harmony: small smiles, fleeting synchronicities, moments of connection. It was not dramatic, not magical in a flashy sense, but real, tangible, and deeply satisfying. Alex realized that every day was a canvas, every thought a brushstroke, every feeling a color, and his inner vibration shaped the patterns that appeared. He thought about the people he had shared these lessons with, and how even small practices had created shifts in their lives. He understood now that creation from within was not a secret reserved for a few, but a principle available to anyone willing to pay attention.